BCS. Big day in Corrigan family history. Um, no easy way to say this, but Uncle Dick Corrigan passed away last night around 1:30, and it makes you take stock of where are you in your ability to celebrate a life that means something to you. It's going to happen to all of us at some point in our lives. We're going to struggle with not being able to call somebody that we love to call, not being able to go meet with someone that we loved to meet, having to struggle with that loss and having to ask, why is this happening to me? Why can this happen to me? And the best answer I ever heard to that question is because it can and because it will. There was no way to stop Uncle Dick from passing away. He was a thoughtful, funny, caring, athletic gentleman who lived completely and loved completely. I have so many great memories of Dick. It was phenomenal. We're not going to tell a huge bunch of stories, but I'm going to give you some context in which you can process the Corrigan connection to an amazing man who's no longer with us, and how it might help you stroll through, fight through, struggle through your next loss. Dick was a multi-varsity letter winner at Poly High School here in Baltimore. Then he went on, took his athleticism down to the University of Maryland. He took his athleticism and his unbelievable sense of humor. I cannot imagine how funny Dick Corrigan was when he was in college. He was the first team All-American attackman, won the Turnbull Award as an attackman for the best attackman in the country. He then went on to coach teams at Navy, multiple national championships. He was the head coach at Yale, resurged and rejuvenated that program. Then we were lucky. I grew up in Villanova, and Dick got a job in the athletic department at University of Pennsylvania, and his family, Dick, Janet, Kim, Lee, and Doug, moved about 25 minutes away from us. So we had the luxury of getting to their house and being a part of an extended family that is such a valuable experience. Dick was the guy who somehow, some way, he was the icebreaker at parties. Somehow, some way, he was the joke master. He was the guy shucking oysters out in the garage. He was also the guy who put his arm around you after a loss, and he was the first one with a high five and a hug after a win. He grew up as one of 4 boys that all slept in a queen-size bed. So the fact that he made it to 86 years of age is pretty impressive. And really impressive that he was able to do that. He lived in Swarthmore, PA during my middle school, my high school, my college years. And it was a great time to connect because although he was an incredible athlete, that wasn't his best quality. His best quality was his ability to connect people and connect people to happiness. He was incredibly insightful as to help you talk about your feelings. And when you lose a loved one, you start thinking to yourself, what is it that I loved about him the most? I unfortunately lost my father about 5 years ago. And people ask me all the time, like, what's the thing that you learned? And it's ironic, as a Corrigan, we're blessed in so many ways with the ability to grab relationships. But one of the things I processed for months in the grieving part of losing my father was every time I started laughing, thinking about him, I would end up crying. And every time I started crying, thinking about him, I would end up laughing because they bring joy to you. And one of the traits that I find in the people that I gravitate towards all the time is the relationship that I have with them and the relationship that I think I can have with them. And it's important when you see a value in someone else, to see a value in a loved one, to feel perfectly comfortable exposing just some part of your heart to them so that they can become a little bit vulnerable to you. Sometimes it's a great teammate. Sometimes it's a family member. Sometimes it's somebody you're rejuvenating a relationship with. I have friends that I've lost touch with, and I have friends that I've rejoined and rekindled that relationship, and those are so valuable. My sister gave a talk, and she talks about how there's times when people slip out of your life, and you remember why they were a part of your life, and then you also remember why they may have slipped away. And so often, we don't fully anticipate the impact of losing them might have on our lives. When you lose someone who's that close to you, a relative, an uncle who can light a room up, an uncle who can bring the room together, an uncle that can connect a 9-year-old with a 39-year-old and a 79-year-old, it makes you ask the question, what truly matters? I hinted at it earlier, but relationships are what bring us together and bring us into that gold mine of emotions that you'll have with someone, even on just a phone call, the gold mine of emotions that you'll have on somebody when you are with them for a moment in time, and that gold mine of emotions that you'll have with somebody when you're connected to them for life. One of the things I tell my own kids all the time, and you should tell yours, is stay close to your siblings because they are your greatest connection to your past. Your brothers and your sisters are going to help you remember where you came from and keep you grounded. What truly matters? It helps you acknowledge the value in others. I really, really want to make sure that you leave here today thinking to yourself, okay, if I'm going to live a life where I know what truly matters, that means one piece of advice I've heard is start with your eulogy and work backwards. It's not great advice, but it's not terrible advice either. How do you want people to remember you? Do you think that people are going to look back and say, I'm a better person now because you were in my life? I'm a better person tomorrow because of what I learned from you today. I spent 19 years as a school teacher and don't regret a minute. It's not easy harvesting financial rewards when you're a school teacher, but I tell people all the time, school teachers get paid in a currency that you can't really use in stores, but it certainly does pay off pretty well when you take stock of your life and when you ask yourself what truly matters. Did you make a difference in the life of a child? Did you make the difference in the life of a friend? Those are things that add up. And lastly, one of the great questions that people ask all the time is, did you get what you wanted out of life? We all have different interests. We all have different things that drive us. We all have different things that make us unique individuals. But when it's all said and done and you have to take stock of where you are, where you came from, did you get what you wanted out of life? And did you have those relationships that you wanted with people that meant a lot to you? And were you courageous enough to express your feelings and tell someone how you truly feel and stand by it? That helps you live a life of gratitude. That helps you live a life of being there for someone. Live a life of connection, because those are the moments that we look back at when we take stock of Dick Corrigan's life or George Corrigan's life or Jim Corrigan, whoever's gone before us. Those are the things that matter are how well connected were you to someone who you might leave behind? How well connected are you to someone who might go before you? And I think that one of the ways the Corrigan family has impacted so many people is our ability to relate to how you feel, our ability to relate to how your day's going. Your day might go better. Expose yourself and say, you know what? I have a need right here. I have a need right here that I need, that someone has to solve a problem. I say it all the time. If I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem. And in the last 5 minutes, the solution would present itself. Make sure that you're connecting yourself to people in a way that you can lean on them when adversity hits. We all have little moments of adversity. A man wiser than myself once said, we all lose important people. We all need to find a way to cope with that loss. We all need to think about what people are going to say when we're gone. And in the coming days and weeks and months, hundreds, if not thousands of people are going to say some incredible things about a man named Dick Corrigan. Thanks for joining me. I'm Booker Corrigan reminding you, you only get one shot at today.